Welcome back, you beautiful people, to the Real Collective Podcast. I am Sean Tasse, joined by my illustrious co-host and friend, Kyle Miller. Kyle, happy day to you. The sun is shining. It's coming out. It's feeling the buds are all turning. I don't know about you, but this week, everything that was brown has, boom, turned green. It is looking good, looking springy. Summer's just around the corner. Everything is feeling nice. You're welcome for your weather report. How are you doing?
Yeah. Thank you for the weather report. Living the dream, realizing how bad my lawn is and I have to work on that. I fell down the road of like lawn TikTok, which
Oh,
is the thing. Like and that's the thing, right? If you watch one of those videos, so here's a note. If people would watch some of my videos that I put out on TikTok for more than 4 seconds, it would severely help what I put out there. Appreciate that very much. Thank you. Because when I watch stuff for 4 seconds, all my feed does is blow up with that stuff. So I watched some guy down in Texas, like using stand to fill the low spots and like the leveling rake and all this cool stuff. And I'm like, man, I could probably use some of that. And now the only thing I see is real estate agents, mortgage brokers, and grass guys.
welcome,
So I'm like,
to
okay,
Wiserhood. Welcome to your
yeah,
middle.
exactly, yeah, yeah. I
That's
cross my legs different now. I drink whiskey and I smoke cigars too on the weekends. That's how I just relax.
yeah.
Yeah,
Hey, there you go. So
with Crocs on.
the the YouTube hole that I went down was the opposite. It's like overgrown grass that gets like to be so high, and then someone comes around with a weed whacker and like trims it all back, and he goes and he does it for free to people who have like overgrown.
Yeah,
I love that. It's so rewarding. You watch it for like a minute and they go from like a jungle to nothing. I'm like, oh wow, look at this guy go. Yeah, that's I know that.
and you need the before and after, because
Yeah.
if you don't have that, you're like, oh man, that yard's just crap. Like when you have big grass, I used to cut grass for a living from the age of like 11 to 16,
Property
and
stars?
no, just me. I
Oh,
just drove around Russell.
yeah.
I was the guy. I was a kid in Russell that I. Okay, so quick backstory is I was working for this lady and she had a lawn tractor and all this fun stuff, and then she was paying me to cut her grass, and I'm like, man, it'd be real. I could cut way more lawns if I had that lawn tractor. So this one summer, I said, I'm like, look, can I cut your grass for free? Because I knew what she paid me over the summer. Like, can I cut your grass for free this summer? But I will take, but I that's me buying the the lawn tractor and the sweeper and all that stuff.
Yeah.
She was like, deal. So I'm like, I cut her grass for free, got the lawn tractor, and then did a bunch more. And then every summer I just kept doing it, even when I got my light. Like, so I'd be driving through the town of Russell with like on my lawn tractor, like with the sweeper behind me that picked up all the grass with gas and like the weed whipper and the friggin' like the push mower in there because I lived on one side of the village and like she was on the other, and then I had other houses over there. So I'm just like in this 1972 like or 80 something Craftsman lawnmower. It was the best. And then eventually I got old enough and I like load up the trailer and just drive around, do my 5 or 6 yards and make money. Yeah.
There you go.
But anyway, that's the thing. When you get long grass and then you cut it short, it looks like shit.
Yeah, it does.
But when you see what it was to what it is, you're like, oh well, that's great. Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, well, you know what? It sounds like you're full circle back to your grass days. I mean, that's interesting to note about your you know, prepubescent years.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it was grass, knives, and then here we are in real estate and mortgages.
that's it.
What a trajectory.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, look at that.
As, as always, guys, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share this with somebody you think might like this kind of conversation. We'll talk about more real estate stuff today. You can download the podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or you can watch us here on YouTube. Also, you can download the buyer or seller guides below, as well as schedule an appointment into our calendars directly with the Calendly link below. Kyle, we were talking before we jumped on a little bit about what's going on in the you know, development world, the new build. We've talked a little bit about new builds this year, and they've made some changes recently to the development fees. The city of Ottawa we're coming into a crunch time here where they have to change legislation within a week or two, and by the time this video gets posted, they might have already changed this legislation, and that's going to impact a few of our clients who have bought new houses that didn't have a cap on their development fees.
I honestly have never heard of what you just said. Never. Like,
really?
I get the development fee thing, but I've never heard in all the years of doing this that a builder even brings that up, of a cap on development fees or anything like that. I had no idea that was even a thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you want to hire a real estate agent to help you buy a new build and they know what to potentially watch out for, this was something that I told all my clients who are buying new builds. Hey, ask for a cap on dev fees. You never know what might happen. And out of the 3 that I've done so far this year, 2 were with one builder, one was a separate builder, and the 2 with one builder did not allow us to put a cap on the dev fees, and the one with a separate builder, specifically the one that I told you the story about where I saved these guys like hundreds of dollars, they allowed us to put a cap on the dev fees. They didn't just allow us, they gave it to us. They're like, yep, here's one of our offerings, we're putting a cap on dev fees. Okay, great. So again, my clients are coming out with another probably $12,000 benefit over and above the $311,000 that they already saved. So big deal there, big change there. And some people kind of left holding the bag. We don't love this idea, or maybe we do, because it passes on the cost to new home buyers, right? Like,
but hold on a sec. So, and again, because this is honestly new.
Yeah.
So your client bought a place for $100,000, and in that $100,000, right, we could probably use $1 million, but that's just we want.
You know what? Use $1 million. It's better. I think it's better. Yeah, use $1 million.
Okay, so they bought a place for $1 million, and built into that $1 million price point is development fees, right?
Correct. Yeah.
That the lenders, now it's spread out, so it's not just like the 40,000. Is it 40? What did we say it was? It was like $46,000 in development fees.
Yeah.
Per unit, like per house.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we've looked up,
the $1 million house, you have to look at it. What's the cost to build that house? It's roughly about $300 a square foot, maybe $250 if you're a really good builder, right? So how many square feet do you have? All that sort of stuff. Then, okay, so let's say you've got $1 million house is probably about 2,500 square feet, right? Times 250, that's $625,000 to build that house. Now, you also have your dev fees, your development fees, and we said those were what, about 50 grand?
Yeah, right? I'd say 50.
So there you go. So 675 is what we're at right now. If you're not, if you're just listening, so 675, 50K of dev fees plus $625,000 worth of building. Now you have to have a lot to put that on, right? So you need to own the land. So let's presume you bought a big parcel of land and you've chopped it all up. Okay, your cost per lot is going to be at least 100 grand. Chances are, depending on how many lots you got, how much you chopped them up, right? So 100 grand, that brings you to 775. Now there's a cost of disposition. You need a sales center. You got to pay salespeople to sell the houses, et cetera, right? All of that needs to be included. That's going to be, I mean, if we just use real estate, it's 5% for $1 million house. So call it $50,000. Okay, plus $50,000. So 825 is the cost to the builder. There might be other stuff in there that I'm not calculating, holding costs, cost of financing, etc. Right? If they're not using their own money, they're using somebody else's money, that other person is going to want to make money on the money that they're lending. Let's say they're holding this piece of property for what, 2 years before they actually build it, plus the cost of construction that they have to finance. Holding $100,000 for the property, and let's call it $600,000 for the build cost. That's $700,000 that you're holding. Now you don't start to accrue borrowing costs until you actually start the building, but you do accrue borrowing costs on that lot. So what do you think a builder is paying in terms of a rate to hold that land? And then they're borrowing for construction too, right? Big borrow.
It's probably, no, I'd say commercial. I'd say, because that's gonna totally be commercial stuff.
Yeah.
Like call it 6, 7.
So 6% per year. Now, on the 100 grand, that maybe is for 2 years. So that's what, 6 grand times two, so 12 grand. But when you start to really ramp it up is when you're borrowing to build the house. So 6% on 600, that's $36,000. If you start to build the house and don't finish it, so you're talking about 36 grand plus 12. So let's say plus 36 plus 12. That brings you to 873. Well, geez, I'd be a builder if I could make 100 grand each property. But what are the risks? What is going to go wrong? What's going to happen down the road? All that sort of stuff. You have to put roads in. You have to, there's all of these different things. Now, the argument is, hey, the city is responsible to service the roads. The city is responsible to service the sewers that are going in, all that sort of stuff, right? All the cost of development. And they're saying, hey, we're building more houses faster as per, the new bill. We want our piece too, because we've got to service all of that. So that's what it is. So I would say for $1 million house, the builder cost is probably something like 875. That's my rough math. I just did it live with you. I could be way wrong. If you're a builder and you're watching this, thank you. And also tell me if I'm wrong. I'm happy to know.
But then, so now what we've had happen is the bylaw literally stops May 22nd. So the city of Ottawa had a vote literally yesterday, which is the 8th, that said, yeah, we're increasing development fees.
Yeah.
So if you've now got a house closing after the 15th, what you're saying is that the builder's on the hook. The builder's on the hook for those new extra costs.
That's right.
There's no cap, and then as shit flows downhill, because your client is closing after this is being instated, and the builder's going to get that bill, they're going to pass that bill on to your client.
Yeah.
Most likely.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's why in a builder APS, you want to look for, hey, is there a cap on dev fees or is there not? If there is not, you want to negotiate to have one included.
On page 176, subsection B, C-2. Yeah, because that thing's this big.
So normally what we do is we recommend our clients, when you buy a house, you do a home inspection. When you buy a new build, we recommend they have a lawyer review that contract and make recommendations in advance. Yeah, because this is, look, you pay $400 to have the document reviewed to turn around and potentially save 12,000. Sure, all day. Right?
Wow. Yeah, that sucks. And it's just like, it's tough because I was way more pissed off and aggressive off camera here, but a second ago. But it's just, that's the thing that drives me, that I don't get. Like, I get it, right?
Yeah.
Yes, developers are developing land. And the city needs to recoup the money for that. Like, yep, totally get it. But at the same point, how do you talk out of one side of your mouth of affordability? By the way, the very first thing we're gonna do is up the fees. Okay, now affordability.
Yeah.
Right? I've said it before too. Literally the day that Doug Ford, or maybe it was the prime minister, came out and was like, we're going to build this many houses and we need this many houses by 2030 and we're going to do it.
Yeah.
Before John Tory got tossed for doing whatever he did as the mayor of Toronto, he came out the same day and was said like, yep, and we're going to raise development fees by 50%. So I'm like, what? So no one's talking to each other. Got it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Just nuts.
Well,
absolutely nuts.
The system is so big and the metrics are so interwoven, and not everybody, most people are only looking at one piece of the puzzle, and they're saying, hey, today I'm looking at the metric of how much it costs to put in roads and sewers. And they come back and say, man, you know what? It's way more than we budgeted for. We've got to figure something out. How do we figure things out in the government office? Raise taxes. The end, right? That's the lever to pull. So that's the lever that they're pulling. That's the only thing they know how to do. There's no thought of like, oh, wait a second. if we raise taxes, this is going to make houses less affordable. We've been told to try to make houses more affordable. This doesn't work. We need to come up with a different solution. What's the different solution? I don't know.
Well, it's the expectation. It's the expectation that we're going to say do this because we need this result, right? And we're expecting everybody else to just figure it out.
That's right.
Like someone's going to say, well, developers should take less. It's like,
well, then they won't build. Then they won't build more houses.
Then what's At what point do you start? Do you start just saying, okay, well, like unless you cap what their margins can be, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Right. And then if you're literally imposing a cap, what's the motivation?
Right. Yeah.
It's
hard to have a capitalist and a socialist philosophy work simultaneously, because they don't, right? And so, I don't care what side of the hall you sit on, those are two things that go beyond what party you vote for. One is capitalism, which is do everything you can to make money. The other is socialism, which is, hey, make houses more affordable. And how do you marry those two? I don't know, above my pay grade, but that's what we're trying to do, and it doesn't work, unfortunately.
And I think too, what's interesting is that we don't really want to have the tough conversations, right? Like you could stop and I mean, there's different ways to get the money. You could stop development fees from going up. People would say, "Phew, nice," right? Yeah. Little do we know, we are on the cusp of a massive tax increase, property tax increase. Yeah. So they're going to get you, right?
they're going to get you twice.
They're going to get you. Well, and that's the other thing. Now they're going to get you twice, because you're going to get these new development fees, and your property taxes are going up. Like there's no doubt they are going to go up. And if you think your mortgage rate is bad, right, you can re-amortize your mortgage and bring that payment to be more respectable. Can't re-amortize your property taxes.
Property tax. You're going to pay the end. So. Let's get into something more little jovial in the second half. Hopefully, we'll get it. We get a crusty old man who like to cut grass and complain about the economy. Welcome to our podcast. Channel. Share this with
sponsored by the new movie put out, Grumpier Old Men. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Put out like 14 years ago, 20 years ago. Last week. We'll have a quick word from our sponsors and jump back into a little bit of story time in the second half. We'll see you on the flip side. This episode of the Real Collective Podcast is brought to you by Real Collective Marketing, the marketing agency that specializes in the unique needs and budgets of small to medium-sized businesses. We provide turnkey marketing solutions that get results. We become an extension of your team and act as your virtual marketing department, designing and implementing cost-effective strategies that will help grow your business. You can find out more today at www.realcollectivemarketing.ca. Now, here's your hosts, Sean and Kyle. Welcome back, you beautiful people, to the second half of the Real Collective Podcast, throwing up deuces like they're going out of style. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with your friends, family, and your enemies. It is story time for the second half. We'll get into it. Kyle, you had a big win this week. You saved someone a buttload of money.
Yeah, we had a client come to us because they were looking to sell and buy and want to see what they can do. And unfortunately, they're not in the position to really do much, but they will be. And what we did was we looked at their situation and basically just restructured what they already have. The punchline is that we ended up saving them about $897 a month in cash flow, right? 100%. I put this one out in my socials. You can actually go and see it, posted on Instagram and TikTok, and see kind of the quick version of what we did. But the debt consolidation route is huge. And the unfortunate part of this one was that they had got a second mortgage on the property with a private lender like 7-8 months ago. And this ties into a couple of things, but I don't know. I never really asked, to be honest, because I care, but I don't care. I don't know why they took that mortgage, but it didn't put them. I'm assuming it put them in a better position, but it didn't really put them in that much of a better position,
Right.
right? So that and with that, right, they paid a bunch of fees to go with that. And now, because of credit and certain things, we have to put them with an alternative lender. And they're going to pay a fee for that, and they're going to pay a fee to get out of the other two, right? But the way we calculated it was, look, you're gonna pay this money whether you do it today on a refi, or whether you do it just by waiting it out. But
Right.
in the meantime, you're gonna basically, on payments alone, get all that money to stay in your, like, you're just gonna get it all back,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So for at $900 a month, like,
For,
it changes everything for them.
for 2 years, you said?
Yeah, 2 years, and then by cleaning up the credit, cleaning up the debt, right, making their payments easier, they're not stressed for 2 years. He's most likely on the path to making more money. His credit will get better. She's in a position where she'll just naturally make more income as well, right? Mortgage is still a respectable amount where it can go down, and if the values go up a little bit, they'll have more available for down payment, can actually go out and get a place that they need to fit into. It just takes time.
Now,
But that's a huge, I don't care who you are, that's a huge win.
yeah, absolutely. Now, the main thing is changing the philosophy to the point where it's like, hey, you have this money now, you're paid back out, your credit is square. Don't go spend it again, right? Like keep your credit down. Hey, you've got this great solution. It doesn't mean you go and buy yourself a fucking new phone and a new watch and a new blah 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 blah. Don't spend your money on stupid shit. You don't need it, right? I saw, speaking of videos that I was watching, I saw this video go through and it said, I was going through and decluttering, taking stuff out of my house. And the question they were asking themselves was, it wasn't, do I need this? Right? Because you can make an excuse any day. Oh yeah, you know what? I need this. I need this thing for this thing. The question is, can I live without it? And if you say yes, I can live without it, donate, toss it, sell it, whatever it is, get rid of it, right? And yeah,
Yeah, I was looking at my, like, a drawer. I have t-shirts in my drawer,
yeah,
right? And I'm fairly simple in what I wear most of the time. And I remember we were going on vacation, and my wife bought me like 5 or 10 new shirts,
yeah,
like t-shirts,
yeah.
and they're all the same colors.
That's right.
And I was like, why?
Yeah,
Because now I have all the, like, I have more t-shirts than I can wear,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it's like, and I'm like, why did you spend money on 10 or 15 new t-shirts if we were going away for a week?
Yeah, yeah,
Like, I had some, actually. They
yeah.
were
Of course.
great, you
You know
know?
what?
So I look at that and I'm like, dude, I could just, like, here's this stuff, like, man, let's go.
Could have taken that. I mean, probably cheap T-shirts, right? Let's say you
Yeah,
got
yeah.
$10 a pop. That's $100. That's an excursion. Like that's an adventure when you're out traveling. I'd rather the adventure than the T-shirts. So
Yeah. Like, no one needs to see me in a new t-shirt,
you know what?
which I don't think
As,
I'm
as
gonna.
far as they're concerned, when you're somewhere else, every single T-shirt that they see you wearing is a new T-shirt
Brand new. Yeah.
because they've never seen you wearing anything.
Yeah.
Right? The hotel staff do not care what your T-shirts are, nor does anybody else. Besides which, if it's warm, you're probably not wearing a shirt anyway.
When I left, though, I heard them say, that guy,
Ah,
nice shirts.
you did not.
Nice,
You did not.
nice shirts, buddy.
Nice, super
Gave me
nice.
the old wink and the gun, little.
A little fist bump, a little air bump.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
that's good. So story time for me. I actually helped last week a client buy a new build house, and unfortunately, on that new build house, there was no cap on dev fees. So that's a shit conversation I'm gonna have to have this week with them. Um, we tried, we asked for it, they were unwilling, and that is what it is. So the other cool thing was last year we had a big place to sell. I'd say big in terms of size as well as in terms of price point, in terms of acreage. We put it up for sale towards the end of last summer. It was a cottage with waterfront. and didn't get the action that we wanted for it. We had no idea. Sorry, we had an idea, but we weren't sure how to justify the price. So we sent someone in to go and do an appraisal. They charged us close to $1,000 to do an appraisal because the property is so weird and wonky. Anyways, they went in, they did an appraisal. I think they gave us an appraisal amount of whatever it was, and we listed it for pretty close to what that appraisal amount was. And we almost sold it, but they were still going through some, like we sold it conditionally, subject to the sale of someone else's house and subject to the lawyer reviewing the severance, because there was a big piece of land and there was a bunch of little tiny pieces of land that were getting chunked out to the people who owned cottages on the waterfront, little teeny tiny places, and we were selling them the pieces of land back behind their, like on the other side of the road, so they can go put a garage or whatever, and then severing out another piece, another something like 40 acres for the owner to go and build his next house, not on the water, just whatever. So all of those severances finally got finished. The timing lined up. We're hitting at the spring market, and lo and behold, we put the house back on the market just maybe a week or two ago, and in less than a week, we got 2 offers for it, negotiated, sold it for, drum roll, what price?
Same.
The exact appraised price, like to the T. The property is not currently firm. It should firm up tomorrow. If it doesn't firm up tomorrow, then obviously this is a bad thing to talk about before it's completely done. But nobody knows what the appraised value is, and nobody knows what the numbers are that I'm talking about. So it doesn't really matter. But that is a really, really interesting story to talk about in terms of, hey, whenever you're dealing with a property and that property, you're a little bit like, how do we value this? What's it really worth? Getting an idea and a sense from a registered appraiser always is like, every time we look at them, it's like, oh man, that's bang on. Now, sometimes we can do the job where we sell it for a little bit more because we're good negotiators, but normally that's about the amount you're going to get for the sale. So
I say it all the time. I'm like, if you have any question, like divorce, and any time there's a question about value, right? And even as an agent, I'm very interesting with an agent that I pal around with. He's got probably the most unique property I've ever seen, and seller's like, I want this much money, and it's like, and he's like, no, it's not going to be that, right? And I suggested, I'm like, you should probably get that appraised, just so you know when someone comes with it to you with an offer, because it probably will sell, right? Yeah. But when they come to you with an offer, you at least have some data to go back and say, no, and this is why. Like, no way. No. You're coming in, like, I know we're here. I know we should be here, but you're coming in here? Nah. Let's go here. Because the other thing people want to make sure they understand is that your feelings don't matter when it comes to an appraisal, right? The bank will only finance what the house is appraised for.
Right.
Yeah. Or the purchase price, whatever's lower.
That's right.
That's the key. Yeah. That's the key.
Yeah, whatever's lower, not whatever's higher. And that's the thing, right? You get an appraisal, you get a really good sense of what it is, especially for, like you said, unique properties, things that are funky. Having some sort of way to back it up and to fight against and to protect your seller's money, right? Because really that's what you're being charged to do, is huge. So good.
Data works, man. Like it just takes the emotion out of it. It hurts sometimes, but it takes the emotion out of it, and then at least you have something to fall back on. So when someone's coming to you and they're just giving you the screws. Yeah. You can decide if you want to take that or not. And you can say, I already have the data. Yeah. Like, this is what it should be worth. I'm willing to negotiate around that, not to whatever crap you're pulling.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't, like you've said before, the math doesn't lie.
No, math doesn't lie.
And there's a range. There's always a range before it's a done deal. There's always like, oh, well, there's some feelings involved and there's some negotiation here and there. That's why we get paid, right? To hopefully help you sell for a little bit more and help you buy for a little bit less. But really, if a house is worth $500,000, we're not selling it for $6 million. Maybe we're selling it for $5.25, or maybe we're buying it for $475. But that's like excellent. We're probably selling it for $510 or buying it for $490. That's more likely the range that we're working in. But the difference between a good agent and a bad agent can be a $20,000 swing, right? So, yeah, I think that's a good spot to wrap it up. As always, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share with someone who you think might like this conversation, all of the fun that we're having. You can also download on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or watch our semi-beautiful faces on YouTube. Download the buyer guide below, download the seller guide below, book an appointment with Kyle or I directly into the Calendly links below. And until next time, keep it real.
Collective.